Now on BBC One, the lunchtime news with Vishala Sripathma.
Good afternoon. The former England football manager Terry Venables has died at the age of 80 following what his family say was a long illness. He was a prolific player, making more than 500 appearances for English clubs. His career then took him into management for the top-flight clubs Tottenham Hotspur and Barcelona. He then went on to manage England, most notably through the Euro '96 championships. Our sports correspondent Andy Swiss looks back on his life.
He brought the feel-good factor back to English football. England's hopes ended in heartache, but for Venables it was the defining moment of a remarkable career.
And how old are you now?
16.
So football's your whole life?
Yes.
And you wanted to go on being your whole life?
Yes.
And so it proved. That teenager was soon knocking in goals for Chelsea, but it was as a manager that Venables truly blossomed. In 1982, he guided Queen's Park Rangers to the FA Cup final, before a stunning move to Barcelona, where he won the Spanish League title and earned the nickname El Tel.
Visca el Barça!
Next came Tottenham, where he lifted the FA Cup before a clash with chairman Alan Sugar and controversy over his business dealings saw him sacked. But in 1994, England came calling, and at a European Championship on home soil, his team made it all the way to the semi-finals, carried on a wave of national euphoria. Agonisingly, defeat to Germany on penalties ended their hopes. But Venables had given the fans an experience they and he would never forget.
Youngsters, of course, don't remember it too much, but their fathers have tell them all about it, sort of thing. But it is, they do come up and they say that is the best feeling we've ever had. And it's just the shame of that, it just wasn't to be. Turned out all right, but it could have been better. But you can't take it away from me.
Despite his popularity with the fans, Venables' business dealings remained under scrutiny. He stood down from England after the Euros, managed Australia and also Leeds United before a brief return to the England setup as an assistant to Steve McLaren. But it's as a colourful and charismatic leader that he'll be remembered. And as the man who brought English football one of its most famous summers.
Former England manager Terry Venables, who's died at the age of 80. Our correspondent Mark Ashdown is here. Mark, tributes have been coming in.
They have, yeah. I think heartbreak across football, really, for those of us who grew up kind of in that era. He brought back that creative, flowing style of football fans craved after a really poor run in the early 1990s. That, his biggest moment, really, Euro 96, that magical Paul Gascoigne goal. So, yeah, reaction today. Gary Lineker posted he's devastated, described him as the best, most innovative coach he'd ever worked with. Tottenham, who he played for and managed, posted saying they are deeply saddened and offered their condolences to his friends and family. Tottenham are playing at home this afternoon, so I mean this is only just broken news, but potentially we could get some tributes, not least from fans. I think though Terry Venables, as Andy said, that his legacy, his impact on football will live long in the memory. Another key moment we saw, though, when England knocked out of those finals in the semi-finals to Germany on penalties, he put his arm around the shoulder of Gareth Southgate, who missed that crucial penalty. He was a real father figure, not just a coach. I think that really sums him up.
Yes, Mark. Thank you very much, Mark Ashdown there, our correspondent. Palestinian medics say 6 Palestinians, including 2 minors, have been killed by the Israeli army in the occupied West Bank overnight. It comes as another exchange of Israeli hostages for Palestinian prisoners is scheduled to take place on this, the 3rd day of the ceasefire in Gaza. Yesterday, 13 Israeli hostages were freed from Gaza and have been reunited with their families. They were seized by Hamas, the group designated as a terrorist organisation by the UK during the October the 7th attacks. 39 Palestinians were freed from Israeli jails in return. Hugo Bachega reports.
Reunited after 7 weeks apart. 9-year-old Irish-Israeli Emily Hand and her father, Thomas, seen here alongside her friend, Hila, who was also released late last night. Their agonizing wait is finally over. Thomas Hand initially thought Emily had been killed. Days after the attack on October the 7th, he gave an emotional interview, saying he was pleased that at least she wasn't in pain.
Weirdest thing for a parent to hear that their child's dead and you're relieved.
When he found out his daughter was in fact alive, he campaigned for her to be freed. That has now come true. Emily was among 13 Israeli hostages and 4 Thai nationals freed by Hamas yesterday. The release was delayed for hours after Hamas accused Israel of breaching terms of their deal, which Israel denied. Doctors say 12 of the hostages were relatively well.
I am happy to say that despite the fact that the harsh conditions they have been under and the experience of captivity, they did not require any emergent medical intervention.
One of them, Maya Regav, is said to be in moderate condition and will require a series of surgeries, but is expected to have a full recovery. Under the deal, 39 Palestinian prisoners were also released. In the occupied West Bank, crowds celebrated as a bus carrying some of them drove through the town of Beitunia. Among those freed were 6 women. All the others were teenagers. Overnight, an Israeli operation in the city of Jenin killed at least 5 Palestinians. The Israeli army said the raid had targeted a suspect of carrying out a deadly attack 3 months ago. In Gaza, the ceasefire is largely holding after almost 7 weeks of unrelenting Israeli bombardment. But the humanitarian crisis continues.
The humanitarian situation in northern Gaza is dangerous. There is no drinking water and no food, so the aid we are sending is important.
This is day 3 of a 4-day pause in hostilities, and many hope for an extension of the quiet. Hugo Bashega, BBC News, Jerusalem.
The leader of Reform UK, formerly the Brexit Party, has denied a claim that the Conservative Deputy Chairman, Lee Anderson, was offered money to join them. Responding to the allegation in the Sunday Times, Richard Tice told the BBC that no cash or money has in any way been offered. Rescue efforts are at a standstill at the site of the tunnel collapse in northern India, where 41 construction workers have been trapped for 15 days. A drilling machine that was being used to make a hole for the workers to climb through has completely broken down. Our South Asia correspondent Samira Hussain reports.
This was day 10, the first glimpses of the 41 construction workers. We will get to you quickly, don't worry. 5 days later, they are still cut off from the outside world. The men were constructing a roadway through this mountain when a nearby landslide crushed the partially built tunnel, trapping them behind piles of rubble. As crews race to get them out, family and friends wait in anticipation. Like Chaudhry, who has been here for 11 days, waiting for his son Manjeet. He lost one son in a construction accident 2 years ago, and he says he cannot face that grief again.
I pray to God that please don't take this son away from me. All I want is that my son should be out. This is my prayer. This is my last wish.
For days, we waited while rescuers drill a hole through the rubble, but the machine keeps getting stuck, and finally, it has failed completely.
What makes this rescue operation so complicated is that they're not only dealing with rubble and debris, but they're also dealing with construction material, pieces of metal, and that's what the drill keeps getting caught on. Remember, this tunnel was still being built when it collapsed.
Now the plan is to manually dig the remaining 8 to 10 meters. a process that could take several days, which means more waiting for the men inside and their families on the outside. Samira Hussain, BBC News, Uttarkashi.
High tides and strong winds caused part of a cliff-top road to collapse yesterday in the coastal village of Hemsby in Norfolk. People are being warned to stay away from the area, as Andrew Turner reports.
This was the Marhams in January. In April, storms made part of this road unsafe. Today, part of it, and much more, has gone. Now residents are cutting pathways through their gardens to gain access.
I was just watching it go. It was scary. I was watching it from my kitchen window, and it's heartbreaking.
Police were being called here to advise residents, maybe 15 or 20 households, to move their vehicles to a place of safety to the north. 2.5 hours later, this entire stretch of road, about 30 metres of it, had collapsed into the sea. This isn't anything new for residents here. Earlier this year, those living along the coastline were told to leave their homes after they were at risk of collapsing due to high tides hitting the cliffs.
Can I ask why are we a minute?
In the Lake and Arms, residents met to discuss what they could do, fearing their homes might not be there come the summer. It was here 10 years ago that Save Hemsby Coastline was founded. Its chairman says being told there's no money for sea defences hasn't just undermined this road, but the entire community.
It's a little equation in a spreadsheet, and it's as harsh as that. We are fighting legally now with Friends of the Earth to try and get that legislation changed, to get that little bit of spreadsheet changed. But yeah, it's just anger and confusion, and just why are we not worth saving?
Andrew Turner, BBC News in Hemsby.
To boxing now, and Ireland's Katie Taylor said it was the greatest night of her career as she beat Chantel Cameron to become a two-weight undisputed champion. Taylor went into the fight as the underdog after losing to Cameron 6 months ago, but in front of her home crowd in Dublin, Taylor came out on top, as Ade Adedoyin reports.
Redemption for Katie Taylor in a rematch which far exceeded expectations. The action fast, frenetic and ferocious right from the opening round. Both trade in heavy leather, content to fight fire with fire. A clash of heads in the third round caused a nasty cut on Cameron's forehead, but had only seemed to spur her on. A brilliant and brutal bout, momentum shifting one way, then the other. At the end, Cameron's face bloody, Taylor's eyes swollen. A fight for the ages, but then the anxious wait for the result.
What a turnaround for Katie Taylor. 6 months ago, she left the ring heartbroken after suffering the first defeat of her professional career. Not only has she made amends, she's also made a bit of history by becoming an undisputed champion in 2 different weight classes at the same time.
Well, it definitely feels like the greatest night of my career so far. I think it was the longest 6 months of waiting for this rematch. I think over the last few months, I was just going to bed thinking about this rematch, and just the pressure over the last few months as well. Everyone writing me off. I can't believe so many people were writing me off, to be honest. And I was just this win meant so much to me. A two-weight undisputed champion in front of my home crowd. Definitely such a special night.
Chantel Cameron has proved to be the perfect dance partner for Katie Taylor, and after 2 thrilling contests, there will be a clamour for a trilogy. Ade Adedoyin, BBC News, Dublin.
That's it from us. The next news on BBC One is at 5 to 5. Bye for now.